catch up on today. I think we left off on 65. And today the goal is to get up to 182. So, we left off on, today's Wednesday, correct? Yes, we left off on Monday then, with Arthur Underwood teaching Nathaniel what makes a wizard good or bad. And it has nothing to do with morality. It has everything he says to do with competence. Okay? So, he says, what's the definition of incompetence? Top of 65. Loss of control. Okay? Correct. Providing the magician remains in control of the forces he has set to work, he remains. What does he remain? Come on. The three S's. Safe, secret, strong. Okay? What's the great secret? Notice. Spirits, Nathaniel says. Underwood corrects him to say demons. Why? What's the difference between spirits and demons? Just the terminology, not the things that the words refer to.
Neutral connotation versus negative.
Exactly. Neutral versus negative. It's kind of like today, okay? Somebody wants to be called something as opposed to, class list. As opposed to what the class list actually lists that person's name as. I mean, I've had plenty of instances. The name is, I'm going to pick something. Old. Mildred. But the student, she doesn't want to be called Mildred because that sounds just like 100 years old. Millie instead. Okay? The one is neutral. Millie. Mildred is also relatively neutral, but in the mind of the person that it applies to, no, it's not. So, demons. Call them what they are. Well, strictly speaking, Nathaniel did. He called it exactly what it is. It is a spirit being. Demon has a pejorative term. What if he were to say gods? How's that different? Still a spirit being, but we apply what to the word gods? Positive, possibly. What else? Power. Are spirits powerful? Well, there's varying levels of power. There's a hierarchy of power. You can get to some, read the third book, that are super powerful. So again, what's the difference? Do humans control the spirits, right? How? Certain spells, certain language. What else do they have to have? They've got to have the pentangle, they've got to have the circle, they've got to have the candles, they've got to have the words, etc. Okay? So, you could call them gods of sort. Yeah, Zach.
Right, so, he says, the pentacle. I know it's not the same, but I saw something where it said it was like a circle with a star.
Yeah.
It sounds like a pentagram. Is that
It's
right?
exactly what it is.
All right.
That's exactly what it is. Circle, I can never draw these things. With that inside. And if I remember right, all five, not a mathematician, all 5 points have got to be touching. The circle has got to be perfectly drawn. You will see, if you read the other books, in one, third book, I believe, a guy conjures a spirit, and there's just the slightest gap in the circle. Just barely a gap. Like someone took a razor through the circle and drew and cut a line just through the edge of the drawing. That's enough. That's enough to give the spirit then what? Power over the person calling it. What else can give a spirit power over the individual summoning it? Knowing the person's birth name. Knowing their real name. Okay? So, what must one never forget? Demons are very wicked and will hurt you if they can, sir. Good, good. Excellent memory, etc., etc. Okay? Mispronouncing a syllable can give a demon just opportunity. Yes, sir. So demons are the great secret. Secret from whom? Yeah. Common people know of their existence, know that we can commune with them. That's why they fear us too. But they do not realize the full truth. Well, what's the full truth? Without the demons, the magicians are what? Commoners. The magicians are nothing without the demons. So, if you were to extrapolate, and I'm not saying you should, but if you were to extrapolate, what might Nix be suggesting is, or are, magicians in our world?
Higher ups.
What do you mean?
People we don't see. I mean,
Okay. The elite? Okay. Who are the elite? How do they become the quote-unquote elite?
money.
Money, partially. How else? What is thought to make one elite other than money and other than birth? Because birth doesn't matter at all here. Skill level.
Achievement.
What kind?
Influence.
Keep going. What? Bingo. Education. Education is what gives you, or can give you, some claim, I do not claim this, okay? Some claim education is the means to what? All real advancement. If you really want to be a quote-unquote mover and shaker, get as much education as you can. After all, who fills the offices of government? I don't mean senators and congresspeople, okay, and the president. Because, yeah, they're important. But guess what? They come and go. Who doesn't come and go other than with retirement and death? The people who fill the bureaucracy. How do they become the bureaucracy? Largely because of their educational attainment. That's why you have so many lawyers in government. They get a certain skill level, to use Joseph's term, they get a certain skill level that enables them, supposedly, to do a variety of things. He might be suggesting that the bureaucratic elite with the advanced degrees are like the magicians, because the magicians run the government. The magicians are the government. Okay? He goes on. Without their aid, that is the demon's aid, we are nothing but cheap conjurers and charlatans. Our single great ability is to summon them and bend them to our will. If we do it correctly, they must obey us. If the slightest error, they destroy us, etc. Okay? So, we find out Nathaniel's 8 years old when this discussion's going on. He'll be 9 the next week. Okay? So he says, all right, starting next week, page 66, I shall start introducing you to the central tenets of our order. People often put this, tenets, or Tenants, of our order. Well, this means the people who live in it, like an apartment tenant. Okay? He's using the word tenets. These are the core beliefs, the core values of their order. Okay? So, he takes him into his study, or into his library, page 66, and he shows him a big bookcase full of books and says, this is your reading material for the next 3 years. By the time you're 12, you must familiarize yourself with everything it contains. Books in Middle English, books in Latin, books in Czech, books in Hebrew, some Coptic, that is Egyptian Orthodox kind of writing. On the Egyptian rituals of the dead, there's a Coptic dictionary. It'll help you, etc., etc. He goes, you understand? Yes, sir. Yes.
Is there a reason that check, like, is there a specific reason that Stroud chose?
Well, because he has Czechoslovakia, or the Czech Republic, as the main enemy of Britain at this time. And it is a center of magical power. That's why when we begin, what does Bartimaeus do? I mean, he names himself and he mentions Prague. Okay? Well, Prague's going to become important throughout the novel. In fact, at one point in one of the other novels, he's going to talk about, what's the name of the street? Golden Row, I think is the name of the street, which is right up near the castle in Prague. My daughter taught in Prague for about 6 months, and so my family went and visited her Christmas 2016. And one of the things we wanted to do, because we're all book nerds, is visit the castle and visit the Golden Row, because all the places that he describes, almost all the places, they're all real. He just gives different meaning kind of to them. Similarly, we're going to read in here about Benjamin Disraeli, for example, and first name William Gladstone, I think it's William. Both British prime ministers, late 19th century. They went back and forth in prime ministerships. Okay, so he's taking real history and suffusing it with this fictional magical history. Okay, so he says, "You understand, boy, that is you're gonna get all this read in 3 years." He says, "Yes, sir." Got his hand up. What? Well, when I'm done reading all this, I'll know everything I need to know. In other words, when I read this bookcase full of books, I will then be, let's use the language from Harry Potter, a fully qualified magician. He said, turn around. Look behind you. There's another bookcase. Behind the door was a bookcase that climbed from floor to ceiling, overflowed with hundreds of books, each one fatter or more dusty than the last. The sort of books that one can tell without even opening them were printed in minute script and double columns on every page. Work your way through that lot, and you might be getting somewhere. Okay, so what has he just done? He's given him a challenge. That case contains the rites and incantations you'd need to summon significant demons, and you won't even begin to use them till you're in your teens. So, no. This one gives you preparatory knowledge. And what do we find out? Nathaniel finishes this one relatively quickly. By the time he's 12, he's read everything in the bookcase behind him. Okay? Think of the magical system that's presented here. How does one become a magician again? When does it begin?
Early childhood.
Is it birth?
No, it's like 4.
It's around 4 or 5 years old. Do we have a really good idea of a child's aptitude by the age of 4 or 5? No, we don't really. I mean, you can tell some things, but you can't tell whether or not that child is better at, say, math than at words. Okay? Or drawing than, say, music. That comes a little bit later. So what happens if you have a child given up for adoption by the government to become a magician? And, later on through the child's education, you come to realize that child really doesn't have the aptitude to be a magician. I mean, Nathaniel what? I mean, he's way up there. He has natural smarts. High IQ is what he would be called. Well, what if you have someone who's low IQ? What happens to them? Okay, it could be they die pretty quick because they mispronounce a word, they don't do a pentacle correctly, okay? Or they become a lower member of the government doing what? shuffling papers. Why? Because you still have to be a member of the magical class to be in the government. Again, it's all this hierarchy. Okay? So, Nathaniel looks in Underwood's eyes, and he says, you notice the contact lens, etc. They talk about it. So he says, you wear these contact lenses to do what? When you're 12 years old, two important things. Page 68 will happen. One, you'll get a new name, which you will take as your own. Why? Prevent demons from getting power over me by discovering my birth. Okay. Why else? Because, enemy magicians can use that birth name, etc. Second, you'll get your first pair of lenses, which you can wear at all times. They will allow you to see through a little of the trickery of the demons. Till that time, you just wear glasses. Now, difference between contacts and glasses is what can happen to glasses easily. Break, get knocked off if you're not wearing, one of these things. Okay? Contacts, a little bit harder. So he asks again, you understand? Yes, they help you see through things. The lenses, and to a lesser extent the glasses, allow you to look on several planes at once. It's the lenses that give magicians to do what? Give them ability to do what?
See the demon.
To see how the demons see. Okay? The demons, notice, they don't need any technology. They're born with this power or gift. The magicians need to create something to do that. Okay? So, let's see here. He keeps teaching them. They look at the rat. He realizes the rat's not quite dead. It's got a spirit in it, blah, blah, blah. Page 71. Impatient for progress, in his spare time, Nathaniel devoured the books in the library case. Why impatient for progress? What's he want? Okay? The ability to summon gives him what? Power. That's what he wants. He wants power. All right? And little clue, he gets it. In this book, he gets it. The next book, he gets even more. The third book, he gets even more. He impressed Mr. Purcell with his omnivorous appetite for knowledge. He worked with great vigor in Ms. Luthien's drawing lessons, applying his skill to the pentacles he now traced, etc., etc. Notice, he reveals his frustrations to her. What are his frustrations? Moving too slowly. How many of you have ever tried to pick up a new skill? Academic, intellectual, artistic, athletic, and you're just not getting there as quickly as you want. Yeah, probably all of us at some point, okay? But probably not when we were 9 years old. She says, patience is the prime virtue. If you hurry, you will fail. I'll give you an example. I can't prove this till I talk to him. I'm going to give papers back to another class tomorrow. And this one student, this is for my Harry Potter and Harry Potter and Tolkien course. And this one student wrote an essay where most of the ideas are pretty good. Probably B minus level. The writing is utterly atrocious. I mean, I haven't used them in a long time. I don't have it in my pocket. For this class, I decided to use red. I mean, it's like I slit my wrists on this paper. I mean, it's blood everywhere. And I wrote at the end, the grammatical and writing errors alone merit an F. I mean, it's really bad. Okay? I think it's entirely because the guy sat down and just and printed it. It's clear this thing has not been proofread. I mean, even a printed, read over it like in 30 or 40 seconds proofread. I mean, there are so many errors a simple glance would have caught. It's pretty clear. Okay? That's kind of what she's getting at. Failure is painful. True or false? Yeah. Failure is also what? Okay, necessary. What else? Yeah. That's what the people who have, quote unquote, failed the most and risen the highest will tell you. Failure was always the best teacher. Those who never fail never really what? Get challenged. They never really get challenged. You've probably known people, maybe you are one of these people. You've never really been challenged in a class. You know, you could just sit and kind of skate on through without doing much. I hate those kind of people because I always had to work hard. And most of my papers in college were C's and B minuses. There were a few A's and there were some D's and F's, you know. Still angers me that I got a D in biology because I did not go to a local zoo and do a study of the North American gray squirrel because I didn't have a car to go to the zoo. So I got a D in biology for that. Anyways, the point is you've got to be challenged. Okay? Why? That's what makes you grow. It's like, you know, any kind of athletics, you know, weightlifting. If you simply lift the same weight every time, yeah, you'll reach a certain level of strength, but you won't go beyond that. If you simply try the same thing over and over, you'll become a master of that, but nothing else. So, you must always relax and concentrate on the task in hand. Now, she says, I want you to make that sketch again. Okay? So he does. Chapter 10. We go back to Bartimaeus. Well, where's Bartimaeus been? Retrieving the amulet, right? Okay. So he escaped from Lovelace's house. Keep that name in mind, Simon Lovelace. And we're told, bottom of 76, even alone, Simon Lovelace was a formidable proposition. The fact that he was able, top of 77, the fact that he was able to employ and restrain both Fakwarl and Jabor proved as much. Why? Fakwarl and Jabor are what? They're pretty high level. They're not near the top. Okay. Where are they in relation to Bartimaeus? Yeah, they're a little stronger. What does Bartimaeus have on them? Brains. Okay? Which he'll repeatedly say. Brains beats brawn any day, Bartimaeus will say. Well,
Jabor would say the same.
yeah. Okay, so Nathaniel, page 77, orders him to reveal whether or not he has it. And Bartimaeus says, top of 78, Amulet of Samarkand, it was Simon Lovelace's, now it is yours, soon it will be his again. Take it, enjoy the consequences. I was asking about this pentacle you've drawn here. What are these runes, this extra line? Kid puffed out his chest. Adelbrand's pentacle. Adelbrand's pentacle? That meant trouble. Made a big show of checking the lines, the star, etc., etc. He said, oh, you missed. Okay. So, page 79, we find out. Nathaniel says, you were pursued? Wrong emotion, kid. Try fear. Why? Because what emotion did he show? Eagerness. Okay? And so what does Bartimaeus say? Yes, I was pursued by half the demonic. How many was he pursued by? Was it half the demonic hordes of England? No. Or London, sorry. So, Nathaniel asks, do you take me for a fool? Well, the amulet in your hands answers that. Why does he say that? What's he mean?
This was a foolish idea. This one thing.
You do not know what you have gotten yourself into. Okay? He says, but, I've done what you asked. Let me go. Nathaniel says, you cannot depart. I have other work for thee. He uses the these and thous, etc. Bottom of page 80. Bartimaeus lets us know he thinks something else is going on here. Does he think Nathaniel's done this all on his own? No. He asks, where is he? Where's who? The boss, your master, the eminence greed, the power behind the throne, the man who's put you up to this little theft. What did he say to you, I wonder? Well done, young fellow, you're the best little magician. The boy laughed. Unexpected, that. I was anticipating if you're... No, he laughed. He turned the amulet over, bent and replaced it in the pot. Also unexpected. Using the stick with the hook, he pushed the pot back through the circle to its original position on the floor. What are you doing? Giving it back. I don't want it. Pick it up. Notice, that's a command. Pick it up. Now what? When Simon Lovelace comes, I won't be hanging on to this, I'll be giving it right back to him with a smile and a wave and... Wait. Now he's holding in his left hand a burnished disc, a scrying glass. This is not something Stroud invents. Scrying glasses are very old, so to speak. So what does he say? What does Nathaniel tell Bartimaeus to do with the amulet? Where? It's like a barrister's bookcase. It's got glass doors. Put it in there with his other kind of magical stuff. Okay? Do it so that he, Underwood, cannot observe it, and achieving this so stealthily that no one, either human or spirit, on this plane or any other, shall see you enter or depart. Further charge you to return to immediately, silent and unseen. Okay? And we're told, Nathaniel finishes, he was blue in the face when he finished this, having completed it all in one straight breath. Now this is important. Footnote. Strictly advisable when dealing with subtle, intelligent entities such as myself, it is often possible to interpret a pause for breath as a full stop. That is, end of sentence, end of idea, which either changes the meaning of the instructions or turns them into gobbledygook. If we can misinterpret something to our advantage, we most certainly will. Now, notice what that tells you. Demons are free to interpret commands. So what must commands be? Very, very specific, very, very clear. I think I've probably put on some of your papers. Be precise, exact, clear. Sometimes I write, say what you mean and mean what you say. That is, make it so it can't be what? Misinterpreted. Because if I write, what does that mean?
You lost me.
You lost me. Or sometimes I write, you lost me. That means what you've written can be misinterpreted. Or if I put ambiguous, it's the kiss of death. When it comes to a quote-unquote academic paper, you don't want it to be ambiguous. If this were creative writing and you were writing poetry, I'd say, have a ball. Make it so everybody in this could read that poem 5 different ways. Okay? You don't want to do that with demons. So, framing your master, are you? Nasty! In other words, man, that's devious. How old is Nathaniel?
I think it was.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure at this time he is 11. He doesn't have his new name, John Mandrake. Okay? I'm not framing him. He goes, yeah, right, sure. Typical magician's trick. You're learning faster than most. Learning what? To be ruthless. Learning to be ruthless for what? Keep going. It's the word I keep coming back to. Close. What do you have ambition for? Power. Everything else is a means to this end. Because once you have this, what do you have? Everything. Once you have this, nobody can stop you. Okay? That's why Voldemort, a.k.a. Quirrell, says at the end of the first Harry Potter novel, there is no such thing as good and evil. There is only power. And those too weak to seek it. Okay? So, Bartimaeus does as he's commanded. And we're told, page 85, Bartimaeus still thinks somebody else is pulling the puppet strings. It seemed that to guard his own skin, this ungrateful child was risking bringing the wrath of a powerful magician down upon... take that back. Risking bringing the wrath of a powerful magician down upon his innocent master's head. Well, how innocent is Arthur Underwood? Yeah, not really. I was impressed. In other words, he's willing to bring down the wrath of Simon Lovelace on... Where's Arthur Underwood in the hierarchy? Why? Does he really seek this? No. Is he really competent? Barely. He's probably one of those that I was kind of alluding to earlier with not the highest IQ. Don't know that for a fact, but... Page 85. You've got the footnote, and Bartimaeus tells us, magicians are the most conniving, jealous, duplicitous group of people on earth, even including lawyers and academics. Now, I don't know Stroud's work history, but it sounds to me like he has both worked with lawyers and academics, okay? Because conniving, jealous, and duplicitous does apply to university professors. They worship power and the wielding thereof and seek every chance they can to undercut their rivals. At a rough guess, about 80% of all summonses have to do with carrying out some skullduggery against a fellow magician or defense against the same. By contrast, so what does he do? Here's magicians. Now let's talk about the noble order of spirits. Most confrontations between spirits aren't personal at all, simply because they do not occur of our own free will. That is, when we go to war against another spirit, it's not because we wish to. We're being commanded to. At that moment, for instance, I did not dislike Fouquarel particularly. Well, actually, that's a lie. I loathed him, but no more than I had before. Our mutual hatred had taken many centuries, indeed millennia, to build up. Magicians squabble for fun. We'd really had to work at it. In other words, it took me millennia to come to hate Fouquarel. The kid? Humans, few minutes, few years. Okay? So, let's see here. We can skip that. Bartimaeus, bottom of 93, no. Top of, where is it? As he's making his way back, he overhears Martha page 90, say Nathaniel's name. And he's like, well, that's a good beginning. And then he learns it's his real name. It's his birth name. Page 94. Nathaniel wasn't just his official name, it was his real name. The fool had summoned me before consigning his birth name to oblivion. Now I knew it. Okay? So, page 95, Nathaniel's talking with Ms. Lutyens and stuff, and they're talking about the difference between commoners, magicians, and such. And he's, again, venting his frustration about being held back by Arthur Underwood. All I'm allowed to do, page 96, is set up the candles and the incense and other stuff that I could do in my sleep standing on my head. I'm not even allowed to talk to them. She says, of course not, you know. Subtleties, etc. He goes, he doesn't realize what I can do. I've read all his books. All of them? Well, all the ones in his little bookcase, and he said they'd keep me going till I was 12. His little bookcase. That's the big bookcase. Okay? I've read all those. I've already mastered the words of direction, control, most of them. I could give a genie an order, etc., etc. She goes, Nathaniel, I don't know what's less attractive, your boasting or your petulance. You should stop worrying about what you don't yet have and enjoy what you do have. Live in the moment, she's saying. Okay? So, they look at the statue, and she asks, he asks, who is that? And she says, that? Well, it's Gladstone. Who? Come on, surely you've heard of Gladstone. Hasn't Mr. Purcell taught you? Gladstone died more than 100 years ago. Great hero of our time. There must have been thousands of statues made of him. Okay? Gladstone was a liberal prime minister. Liberal, not what it means today. Okay? But old-style liberal. Free enterprise, freedom of speech, thought, you know, all that kind of stuff. He lived from 1809 to 98, the real one, 1809 to 98. He was prime minister several different periods. You don't have to remember this, but 1868 to 74, 1880 to 85, February of 86 to July of 86, and then from 92 to 94. So in and out, because they don't have a system like we have where you get, you know, specific terms. And so he says, why? Why is he so popular? Most powerful magician ever to become prime minister, blah, 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 blah. Okay? And then she mentions Disraeli. He was a conservative. He was not Gladstone's enemy. He was his opponent. See, unfortunately, 2018 America, you know, if you're somebody's opponent politically, you become the enemy. Wasn't this way. Wasn't this way 20 years ago. Okay? So she talks about how Gladstone helped London get supremacy over Prague, or Britain get supremacy over the Czech Republic. She goes on, page 98. Without magicians, the country would be defenseless. Okay. She's what again? She's a commoner. Without magicians, the country would be defenseless. Commoners would rule, and the country would fall apart. What is she saying? What is she doing there? We have a phrase. She's drunk the... Anybody know it? The Kool-Aid. What does that mean? It's a phrase that goes back to... It's okay. It's a phrase that goes back to, I'm trying to remember the actual year where this occurred. Either 77 or 78. Yes. Jim Jones and the People's Church, which was a church in San Francisco. Jim Jones was the quote-unquote pastor of the People's Church. It was a cult. Okay? They left San Francisco because San Francisco was going to shut them down. They moved to Guyana, okay, where they were for several years. And one of his followers committed murder in San Francisco. If you ever saw the film with, who was it? I think Sean Penn played Harvey Milk. Harvey Milk was a San Francisco supervisor, gay, and was assassinated. He was assassinated by a Jim Jones follower who then fled down to Guyana. The feds were getting ready to investigate. In fact, had already started going down there. And sent some folks down, and they discovered the People's Church colony. Everybody was dead. They drank the Kool-Aid. Literally. They drank Kool-Aid that was poisoned. It was literal Kool-Aid, okay, that somebody had poisoned. So now you get this phrase, they drank the Kool-Aid, meaning what? Total believers. Okay? She drank the Kool-Aid. Whose Kool-Aid? The magicians, the governments. Because she's saying, without the magicians in order, we commoners wouldn't be able to rule.
That's Nathaniel saying that.
No. Oh, yeah, that's him saying that to her. Sorry. She says the current system is very beneficial for magicians and for a few lucky others. Okay? So he then says, you shouldn't speak of the government like that. Why? Because she says, a few lucky others. Commoners would rule and the country would fall apart. Magicians give their lives. I'm sure that when you have grown up, you will make many telling sacrifices, Nathaniel. But in fact, not all countries have magicians. Okay? What is she getting at? Sorry, yeah, completely doesn't apply to her. He's drunk the Kool-Aid. And he's not really yet a magician, right? When does that happen? Age 12. Okay? She's talking about here. Magicians don't rule in the United States. He says, well, you seem to know a lot about it all. For a humble drawing tutor, do I detect surprise in your voice? Well, you're only a commoner. That pretty much kills their relationship. In, which one is it? The second or third book, because she very shortly is going to get fired. Second or third book, he's going to see her when he is mighty and powerful and all of 14 years old. Has a limo, has a driver. He's going to see her shuffling along the road, carrying her art supplies, and he's going to stop and try to talk to her. This scene breaks that relationship. But she's going to say something to him. I think it's the third book. She's going to say something to him that starts kind of a chain reaction in his mind. Makes him start thinking some other things. So he says, what do you do when you're not with me? Hello, other students. Notice what his question is supposing. Yeah, I'm so important. Okay. Let's see here. So, some people come to visit. Who are those people? Page 101, Arthur introduces Nathaniel to these individuals. An old white-haired magician with a florid, sun-dried tomato face, kind of like Trump, covered in tiny creases. Another, a doughy, watery-eyed individual, middle age. The third, a young, handsome, slick-back hair, round glasses, xylophone-sized array of gleaming white teeth, Very specific. And the men kind of say, well, he doesn't look like much. The young man with the shiny white teeth, how old are you, boy? 10? Goes, okay. The old man, greedy is he? Some boys are. Nathaniel, I'm not greedy, sir. Underwood tries to send him back to his studies. Why? When Nathaniel says, I'm not greedy, sir, what is he doing? Children should be heard. Not, in other words, he shouldn't speak until spoken to. He wasn't spoken to there. What's Nathaniel actually doing? He's defending himself. Well, you shouldn't do that either. So, well, boy, you must get back to your studies. The younger man says, you've got a tongue in your head, I see. In other words, you don't know when to shut up. Not afraid of your elders? Notice, he clams up there. Perhaps you don't think we're your betters too? Pretty perceptive. And Nathaniel doesn't respond. The young man misinterprets his silence. He thinks he's too good to talk to us at all now. Go. And he goes, hold on, Underwood. Let's see what you've taught him. So, Lovelace proceeds to give Nathaniel an oral exam. He asks him a bunch of questions, and what does Nathaniel do? Swat, swat, swat. He swats them away like they're little insignificant bugs. Okay? Bottom of 103, Nathaniel was gaining in confidence. He had committed simple details like this years ago. Okay? So the guy says, all right, what are the 6 words of direction? Any language. Underwood's like, whoa, 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 that's way too advanced. No. Nathaniel, appare mane asculta, sedere pare ready. Next. The young standards must have been dropped. If a backward apprentice can be congratulated for spouting, Nathaniel, you're just a sore loser. Should not have said that. Something invisible, Nathaniel felt something small and compact land heavily upon his shoulders. Clenched into his hair. Someone comes close to him, but it's not his master, it's the young man. You cocksure gutter snipe. Now what are you going to do? Can you get free? No. How surprising. You're helpless. And what happens? Nathaniel looks at his master. Arthur Underwood's eyes are bright with rage. Why? He's embarrassed. What did Nathaniel do? He embarrassed Underwood by speaking back, by defending himself. What's Nathaniel looking for Underwood to do now? Defend him. Instead, what happens? Nathaniel asks, who is the little magician with the glasses and the teeth? She says, that would be Simon Lovelace. What's Nathaniel starting to think? Right here, age of 10. Yeah, I'm going to get you. So, he starts plotting. Man, we are not nearly where we need to be. Let's see here. Nathaniel goes back to his room, and what does he do? He sends some spirits after Lovelace. And what does Lovelace do? Page 109. He has Nathaniel ripped from Mrs. Luthien's grasp, held upside down, and what? He's beaten. Not all over. He's not beaten in the head. He's spanked. Struck him on his rump. He yells, and then 110. Long before the tireless hand ceased its work, Nathaniel stopped kicking. He hung limply, aware only of the stinging again and again and again. Fervently he wished he were dead. When at last the darkness welled up and began to carry him away, he welcomed it with all his heart. What's the darkness that welled up? From what? Pain. Well, and being upside down. He's beaten into unconsciousness. Right? Takes him a week to overcome this. That's when he starts plotting his revenge. Notice he immediately acts what? We're told. Page 113. Obedient and contrite. He doesn't do anything to give any offense to Underwood. Okay? And this goes on for quite a while. Let's see. We're going to pick up, we'll stop. I don't know where we'll pick up. I'll let you know on Friday. Okay, that's all. Got too much to make up now. We'll probably pick up with part 2. That's probably